questions for Deborah Archuleta? A wonderful name, by the way. That's an old Mexico name.
It absolutely is.
When I heard it
My
first,
grandmother was born in Taos in the, and she was baptized in 1904 in the church that Georgia O'Keeffe painted in the paintings. And my grandfather was born in Tierra Maria and lived near where the old Georgia O'Keeffe ranch is, near Ghost Ranch.
Yes. First, Nancy.
Thank you very much. This is the first time I've heard you. Do you see, you've obviously been in the system because you've been prosecuting. Do you see as a judge your role as just making really good decisions in each case? Or do you also see the possibility of your being an advocate for some changes in the system? Because when I served on the jury, it was horrible. I mean, who wants to do it?
I was on jury duty last Monday. I cannot advocate for one side or the other on individual cases. That's not the role of a judge. The judges take a vow to follow the laws of the state of California. However, within the confines of the judicial requirements of following the law, there are certain advocacy roles that judges can engage in. So
that we don't have to sit there forever and ever.
Well, you know, it's a lot better than it used to be, and unfortunately we have the O.J. Simpson case to blame for this, because there was significant jury reform after the O.J. Simpson case, and therefore, as I like to tell people, although going to downtown or your local courthouse is very inconvenient, compared to the cost of fighting in Iraq or Afghanistan, it's a small price to pay, and it's a privilege because it is the best system in the world. So it's inconvenient. I was there on Monday myself, looking at the watch, making sure that I wasn't going to get called, and I actually did get called, and I knew the judge, and he says, oh, Ms. Archuleta, should she be over in the civil court since you are a deputy district attorney, and everybody's kind of looking at me. So yes, I understand the inconvenience, but it's the best system, and it's gotten significantly better over the last several years. So thank you for your service.
Tony?
In addition, obviously, to sort of trying cases fairly and so forth, do you have any broader goals that you'd like to pursue as a judge?
Beyond being a judge?
I mean, whether it's particular types of cases, whether it's trying to start up specific types of courts or certain reforms you want to advocate for, or are you primarily focused on the trying cases aspect of the job?
Well, my area of expertise is criminal courts. I would probably like to get involved with more courts that relate to domestic violence, sexual assault, domestic violence, homicides. That's my area of expertise. I'm trying to get, and I've also done a lot of human trafficking cases, and that is a real challenge because with human trafficking, the victims can be very reluctant to engage in our system and partake of services. And one of the things that I would like to be able to do as a judge, to the best of my ability, as much as the job allows, is I'd like to be able to advocate for victims of human trafficking and get them into programs and make resources available to them, because this is a huge issue, especially in South LA, where I spend a lot of time, and I see what's happening within the community. The other thing is that is rather concerning, and I don't know how the judiciary is going to deal with this in the future. As everyone in this room knows, I believe that marijuana is going to be legalized in the next year or so. And
the next year?
I believe it's going to be on the ballot in November. So I believe,
State of California?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's coming up it's going to be on the ballot in the state of California. And while you clap, and there's a lot of people that agree with you, it's going to provide $1 billion in tax revenue to the state of California. I think that we need to look at the larger social cost of what is going or could potentially occur with the legalization of marijuana. I'm not going to take a position on it because the voters are going to decide what the voters are going to decide. But there's going to be collateral consequences and costs if we in fact do legalize marijuana. And this is something that I think I've been hearing in a lot of the Democratic clubs throughout the county where I go. And this is an issue that is going to be put in front of you as the voters, as members of the Democratic Party. And this is something that I think is an issue that people need to deal with. And I think that the courts need to be able to respond to this, because I see this as the wave of the future. So I could see some cutting edge programs that are going to be involving specifically marijuana in the near future. And I think that that's something that we in the judiciary are going to have to deal with. Any other questions?
Just one last question.
Of course.
I take it you are a registered Democrat.
I am, and I'm a member of like 15 Democratic clubs.
Which one is your favorite?
Next question. Pamela.
So I realize if the state of California legalizes marijuana, it's a state issue. What happens with the federal versus state? Because still federal, it's still illegal. And so how does that
I think the
work?
states' rights will trump that, just like it did in Colorado and in Oregon and Washington. And I believe that the feds are sort of taking their hands off of the issue and they're leaving it to the states.
So once it becomes, I'm sorry, because this is a thing that kind of makes me nuts.
Well, we all have those issues, so you're not alone.
When it becomes legal, can the people that own the apothecaries, wherever they are,
Dispensaries.
dispensaries,
Yes.
thank you. Were they able to have bank accounts at that point?
That's where the feds can.
That's where that's, I believe, an overlap with the federal jurisdiction. I'm not going to pretend to you that I'm an expert on this area of the law, but just so that you know, I will be running on my ballot designation as a violent crimes prosecutor. That's been my area of expertise. I've not spent a lot of time dealing with, like the large-scale drug dealers and the wiretaps. That's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise has been domestic violence and sexual assault. But I just wanted to throw this out there because you asked me what reforms you might be seeing in the court, and I really believe that the courts are going to have to be responsive to this issue because I believe that the voters of the state of California are going to pass this issue.
One more reason why we need more women on the bench is that we have more people who can admit they're not authorities on them.
Well, but there are certain things I am an authority on, and that is when you've been married and raised children and been a prosecutor for 25 years and you're dealing with elderly aging parents and all the issues that go along with that, we do have some sort of expertise and authority that you have to be willing to give over to us. Any other questions? I have a little flyer I'd like to pass out, and once again, I'm running in seat 11. I'm a member of the National Women's Political Caucus, several Democratic parties. I'm a member of several unions and in the district attorney's office and otherwise. And like I said, my husband's been a teacher with LA Unified for 30 years. And lastly, I don't know if any of you remember, it's been about 10 years, there was a young child that was run over in front of the elementary school on Yosemite. That was my case. And I will tell you that I was in the hospital the night before I had to give that closing argument because I was having chest pains and they thought I was actually having a heart attack. But I prosecuted that case that young boy was run over in front of the elementary school.
Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome. Let me end on a high note.
Very compelling presentation.